Hello, everyone. Welcome to Next. I'm Mark Fashing, software engineer with the Google Apps Script team, here with my co-presenter, Daniel Florey, CEO of FloreySoft. And we are here today to talk to you about something we're both really excited about, building G Suite add-ons with Google Apps Script. So let me give you an idea of where we're going to go today. So first, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on AppScript and add-ons for those who may not be familiar with them. Then we'll talk about how to code your own add-on from scratch and how you would publish it. And then I'm going to hand off the presentation to Daniel, who's going to show you the product that he's built on our platform, which I think is a really powerful demonstration of the potential of this platform. And he'll do a live demo as well, showing how he's used add-ons to more tightly integrate with G Suite products. And then after that, I'll introduce a few of the new features that we've got planned. And we'll talk about what you can do to get involved in publishing add-ons. And then there will be a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. So first, let me give you a little bit of background. What is AppScript? AppScript is a serverless JavaScript runtime for G Suite automation, extension, and integration. That's a bit of a mouthful, but there's a couple keywords in here. Serverless. Of course, AppScript runs on servers, but the idea is that you don't have to provision them. So you might call this zero provisioning. And that's pretty cool, because it means you can write your code and let us worry about the rest of it. And the other keyword in here is G Suite. AppScript is purpose-built for integrating with G Suite products, which means we have a lot of built-in APIs that you can take advantage of that make it easy to interact with Gmail and Calendar and Drive and Docs and whatever G Suite products you want to interact with your script, with your add-on, with your web app. So what are add-ons? So add-ons extend G Suite products so you can get the things you need to do done. And the key word here is extend. Add-ons run inside G Suite products, creating menu items, dialogues, sidebars, so that you can build functionality into that product in a seamless manner. For example, let's say that you would want Docs to be able to translate text into other languages. You can build an add-on for that. One of the unique things about add-ons is that they're a true cloud technology. And people throw around the word cloud a lot. You've probably heard it thrown around a lot here. But in the case of add-ons, it's really true. Because add-ons are running in cloud-native docs editors, and they're running on a cloud development platform, it means that, for one thing, they're always up to date. So, for example, you've got a new feature that you want to push out to users in your add-on. Code it, redeploy, and the next time that users use that add-on, the feature will be there for them. They don't have to download, they don't have to reinstall. And this is pretty cool. Likewise, domain-wide install is made easy for enterprise. If you publish your add-on to the G Suite Marketplace, domain admins can install to their domain. And then the next time that users in their enterprise use that product, say Sheets, that add-on will already be there for them. You don't have to build an installer. You don't have to push it out to the workstations. It's easy to deploy. And there are a whole host of other advantages. I've listed some of them here, but I don't have time to talk through all of them today. So let's dive right into coding. I'm going to show you how to build a simple Sheets add-on. But first, let me set the stage for you. So let's say that you're a Sheets power user. You really like using Sheets, but it doesn't have all the functions that you need. That's okay. AppScript lets you define your own functions. We call them custom functions. Some people call them user-defined functions. Some people call them macros, but you can go in the script editor and write your own. But then it's a bit of a hassle to copy these around from sheet to sheet. You keep having to look back at your script to remember which ones you wrote. And now your teammates are asking to use these functions too. how do we solve this problem? Let's write an add-on. And to make things a little more interesting, let's add some built-in help. So you might be familiar with custom functions already, but basically the idea is when you're in Sheets and you need another function, you can go into the Tools menu and click Script Editor. And that will take you into the app script editor and create a script for you that's embedded in that sheet, where you can write functions in ordinary JavaScript, just like these ones I've created here. These are actual finance functions from another popular spreadsheet software. We don't have them in Sheets, but with this add-on, now we do. And you can invoke them in a cell just like you would a built-in function with a familiar equals notation. So let's get to the help page I was talking about. So we created these custom functions, and I'd like to add some documentation in a sidebar. When you're building add-ons, there's a special method that AppScript recognizes called onOpen. We call these methods simple triggers, but the idea is basically that if a user's installed an add-on and they open a sheet, this onOpen method will get run when they open the sheet. And this method, as you can see, adds a menu item, show documentation, that invokes this callback show sidebar, this other method we've defined. So that's pretty simple. And then show sidebar itself is not very complicated. It just creates a help page and then opens it in a sidebar in the Sheets UI. So what does that help page look like? It's just a web page. So building sidebars is easy if you're already familiar with the basic web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And you can call server-side functions in AppScript from your sidebar client code by using the API google.script.run. So in not very much code, we've done something useful in Sheets. We've added some custom functions that we didn't have before. We've added a menu item to open our help page, and we've added a sidebar. And this is what it actually looks like inside Sheets when we use this add-on. You can see I'm invoking the custom function, and there's the documentation in the sidebar on the right that I opened by clicking the menu item, which would show up in the add-ons menu. When you're ready to test it, in the script editor, you can go into the Publish menu and click Test as Add-on. This allows you to simulate different install states on different documents. So you pick sheets that you want to try your add-on out on, and select what kind of installation configuration you want. But remember, it's OK to make mistakes. Because like I said at the beginning of the talk, add-ons are always up to date, which means that if you have a bug in the add-on that you pushed, it's very low cost to fix it. Code the fix, republish, and the next time your users use it, they'll get the bug fix. So feel free to launch and iterate on a very tight cycle. So now that you've seen how to code the add-on, let's talk about deploying it and what it looks like when a user uses it. So to deploy the add-on, you can go into the Publish menu in the script editor, and this time, we're going to click Deploy as Sheets Web Add-on. And what happens then is that we'll create an entry in the Chrome Web Store for your add-on. And then we'll give you a link, you'll follow it, and you'll go provide a few bits of extra information. An icon, some promo images, a description of the add-on. And then you'll decide who you want to publish it to. You can publish it to the world. You can publish it to your business by publishing to a domain. You can publish it to a group of trusted testers. It's up to you who you want to share your add-on with. And then if you want to allow enterprise users to do domain-wide installs, you can publish to G Suite Marketplace. So we made an add-on, and now users can find it by going into Sheets. And if you go into the add-ons menu and click Get Add-ons, it's something that you can do right now. You can browse the Chrome Web Store and search the Chrome Web Store for add-ons that people have published. In the case of the add-on that I just demoed, I published it to a domain, so you won't have access to it. But there are hundreds of other add-ons that have been published, including add-ons that my co-presenter Daniel has published. When you install an add-on, you'll almost certainly see this prompt. And I think it's important to know what this prompt means. AppScript will automatically determine which permissions the script requires to run. And so if your add-on accesses a user's Gmail, or accesses their email address, or accesses their sheets, different permissions will be displayed in this prompt. And this prompt will ask the user for exactly the permissions that your add-on needs. This is all managed for you. If you've heard of OAuth 2, it's an industry standard security model. That's what AppScript is using. But you don't have to worry about it because it's built in. And that means that users can trust your add-on to only access the data that you've requested permission that they've explicitly authorized. So I'd like to walk briefly through what it looks like when a user installs an add-on. So let's say user Alice goes to the Chrome Web Store, and she gets an add-on from the store. Well, now, let's say she installed a Sheets add-on. When she opens a sheet, now the add-on will run in a very limited mode that basically exists to be able to add menu items inside Sheets. When she uses the add-on will run with all the privileges that she authorized when she installed the add-on. But another interesting thing will happen to that document. Now other triggers like on-open and on-edit and on-install will run with additional privileges. But more importantly, when user Bob, who's never installed this add-on, opens the sheet, the on-open trigger will also run. And this is an important feature for collaborators, because if Alice has used this add-on in the document, chances are Bob wants to too. And when Bob goes to use the add-on by selecting one of these menu items, that's when Bob will be prompted to install the add-on from the Chrome Web Store. And at that time, Bob will authorize the access required for that add-on to run as Bob. This is an important way for users to discover your add-ons when collaborators on their documents have used them. So now you've seen how to build a relatively simple add-on. I want to give you an impression of what the true potential of this platform is. And I can't think of a better person to do this than my co-presenter, Daniel Florey, CEO of Floreysoft, who's built his product, Ultradox, on the apps developer platform and uses add-ons to more tightly integrate with G Suite products.
Okay, thank you, Mark, and thanks for the opportunity to show Ultradox and the Ultradox add-ons here at Next. So for all of you who have never heard of Ultradox before, let me give you a very brief idea what it is and why we made it. So we've created Ultradox to enable people with or without coding skills to automate their business and create enterprise apps. So can we go to the slides? Okay. So Ultradox comes with a set of high-level building blocks, and you can create automations or apps by assembling these building blocks using our drag-and-drop interface. And as most enterprise-related business processes also involve documents and emails, Ultradox also comes with a very powerful template engine that you can use to generate PDF, Word, or LibreOffice documents right in the cloud, and also to create responsive emails. So once you're happy with your flow, you can then publish your app with a single click and use it right away on your browser, on your mobile device, or your desktop. So, and I think this combination of features really works. So we have a large number of customers from universities, schools, and, for example, law firms who are able to automate their business, which is not very surprising because the brain of a lawyer seems to be quite similar to the brain of a developer, so they all also like to think in rules. But we also have a number of customers that you would not expect in the first place to create apps by themselves. So, for example, like this review from the G Suite marketplace. As I am a tree surgeon, my computer skills are not amazing. I'm much better with a chainsaw. Ultradox has enabled me to create my own coding machine and so on. So I think this gives a good impression of the variety of customers. Okay, so Ultradox comes with a number of bundled add-ons. You can see that in the Works With section when going to the G Suite marketplace. And that's pretty nice because once you install Ultradox from the G Suite marketplace, you get all the bundled add-ons installed right away. And this installation flow works fine no matter if you're using your personal Gmail account or if you are adding it to your G Suite domain as an admin. So Ultradox comes with add-ons for docs, sheets, and forms, and I will show you our docs and forms add-ons in a minute. When installing Ultradox, you also get a dedicated file type on Google Drive, so you can create, edit, and share Ultradox files on Google Drive, just like the native file types. And I think this tight integration and seamless integration is what really sets the G Suite ecosystem apart from the competition, because you can really create third-party applications that work almost in the same way as the standard G Suite applications. Okay, so now it's time to pray to the demo god, because I want to try to create an application from scratch live on stage. And I would like you to go to this URL, because that should take you to a Google form. And I will try to create an automation that will get triggered by a Google form, and then will create a personalized PDF document and send it as an attachment to you by email. So just open the Google form, don't submit it right now because it will not do anything useful yet, but we will use that in 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, so hopefully some of you have the form open already. Okay. Otherwise, I ask the guys next to you for the URL. Okay, so can we switch to the demo machine? So when logging into Ultradox, you will find a number of pre-built solutions, similar to what you see when logging into Google Docs. But each of these solutions comes with a number of files. So when using these examples as a starting point, you will then get a folder on your Google Drive containing all the involved files. So we have ready-made solutions from simple newsletter sign-up systems, generating invoices from a timesheet, up to more complete applications like our famous PDF invoicing for Stripe that you can add to your Stripe account to automatically send out nice PDF invoices to your customers, or complete approval flows like the purchase order example. But for this demo, I will just start with a blank document. So you can also create a blank document from the Google Drive New menu. So when opening a new document, a wizard will pop up to guide you through the most common use cases. But in this example, as I hopefully should know what I'm doing, I will just get rid of that and start from scratch. First of all, I will give our file a name, so that when switching to Google Drive, you will then find the corresponding file with a Ultradox file icon over here. Okay, so as let's first of all, have a look at the editor. So on the left-hand side, you will find a number of building blocks that you can use to create your application, from very simple stuff like uploading, downloading files from Google Drive, to more complex building blocks, for example, a complete checkout flow that you can add to your application by simply dragging that building block to your flow. But as I said, I wanted to start with a Google form. I will use this building block. And when creating a building block that is referencing an external file, you can either create a new file from scratch or select an existing one from Google Drive. So I will pick the one that I've prepared. And I think that's the one that you hopefully have open on your mobile device or laptop. So each building block comes with some input on the left-hand side and output on the right-hand side. So I will add some dummy data so that I can test my flow without submitting the form each time. Okay. So next I want to generate a PDF document from a Google document. So I will drag this Google Docs to PDF document building block to the flow. And I will select a Google document that I've prepared for this demo. So when going to Google Docs, this will open just a plain Google document. And in Google Docs, you will now find the Ultradox add-ons. And I will get started with the Ultradox template editor. So this one has been designed to help you when working on documents that end up as a PDF or Word document. So in the sidebar, you will now find all variables from the building blocks that you have added to your flow. In our example, we just have the variables from the Google form. So if I want to personalize this document, I can just go here and click on the name variable. And this will bring up a bunch of formatting options, like printing the string in uppercase letters only or stuff like that. But I will just insert it as it is. And I can also add the timestamp as a date. And as Ultradox has detected that the response timestamp is of type date, you will now get a lot of date formatting options. So this is probably not very important in the United States, but if you are sending out invoices in Europe or across the world, then it's really the tricky part to get all the date, currency, number formatting right. So Ultradox also helps you with that. But aside from these simple merge tags, you can also use more complex stuff in your templates, like loops or conditions. So I have created a table where certain table rows will be then visible depending on the row that you are picking in your form. So when clicking on the preview icon, we should now get a PDF preview using the dummy data that I've entered into my form and with a text block for the picked row. Okay, so next I want to create an email that I want to send out with this document attached. So as I want to use a nice HTML email, I will use the Google Docs to HTML building block. And this time I will start with a blank document. So let's give that a name. Okay, third try. And we can now check out the Email Designer add-on. So our Email Designer add-on comes with a bunch of predefined layouts that play nicely on desktop and mobile devices. So that's always the tricky part when sending out HTML emails. So I will get started with a very simple theme. And the basic concept is that you assemble your emails from predefined modules. So you will find a number of matching modules in the sidebar. And some modules have already been assembled as a starting point. So this is just an ordinary Google document, so I can go ahead and work on it, just like you know it already. And okay, that was wrong place. Yep. I can get rid of some columns that I don't need. And for this demo now, I want to show you a more advanced feature of Ultradox. You cannot only insert very simple data like the name and timestamp that we've seen, but also Ultradox is also able to deal with complex data. So as an example, let's load some data from a Google Sheet. So I've prepared a sheet with some of the recommended sessions of the next days. And now you will see all the available columns in the sheet as array variables on the right-hand side of the building block. So this is the simple sheet that I've prepared, and these are the corresponding variables that you will now get in Ultradox. So in the email designer, you will also find the variables tab where you can insert variables that you have been loading before in your flow. So now I can go ahead and insert some variables that I've just loaded from the Google Sheet. For example, title and description of the session. And I can also do more fancy stuff like rendering this image URL as an image. So I can now specify some image-specific formatting options. Okay, let's also add the name of the speaker. So, and the nice thing is, Ultradox knows that these variables are arrays, so they contain multiple values. So when generating a preview of this email, Ultradox should now automatically expand the variables from the sheet and create an entry for each row in the sheet. No. Okay, took a while. So you will see an entry for each row in the sheet. So the row in the email has been repeated automatically. So that's pretty nice when dealing with more complex data structures. So, for example, when creating invoices, this is always the tricky part to have to display complex data. On the right-hand side, you will find a preview for mobile devices, and on the left-hand side, you'll see how this will look like on desktops. Okay, let me just switch to a nicer version of this email that I've prepared. Okay. And finally, I want to send out this email, this HTML document as an email. So we can pick the sender address, and Ultradox provides various email providers, so you can send out using your Gmail account, or you can also use Amazon SES that allows you to track your email delivery and deliveries and bounces. Okay, so I want to attach the PDF document that we've generated previously. And I will also try to track these emails, so I can I could either trigger certain actions whenever the email gets delivered or opened, but I just want to use Google Analytics to track the email deliveries. So I will have to copy and paste the Analytics ID. Okay. And finally, as this is a cloud conference and I want to push the cloud to its limits, I will also add a Google Cloud Print building block. So this will print the PDF document that we are generating right from the cloud on the printer in my office back in Germany. So This is a very nice feature because if you, for example, are generating invoices, you have an online shop and you are triggering the invoice generation, then you could, for example, automatically print out the invoices in the office of your accountant, stuff like that. So I think that's pretty nice with Google Cloud Print. Okay, I almost forgot to switch on the trigger in the Google form. So in Google Forms, you will find the Ultradox trigger add-on, and this one will allow you to trigger the flow that we've created whenever a form gets submitted. So we should activate it over here. And you will also be able to rename the variables. So by default, they are based on the question title, so that's fine with me. Okay, so let's now try if that works. Okay, oh, somebody already submitted the form, I guess. Let's check. So, okay, you can also give it a try, and the nice thing is that you can see in real time in Ultradox if anybody is submitting the form. But I want to do that myself. Okay, so I should receive an email with the attachment. And we can also go to Google Analytics and check if we... Okay, somebody did not enter the correct email, but at least... Okay, so this is the email that I've just received. And attached, I will find the personalized PDF document. So let's finally check if the printing works. So I asked my sister to do, okay, because it's at midnight now in Germany, so something is going on there. All right. Okay, so that's all from my end. So back to you.
Thank you, Daniel. I think that's a pretty cool presentation of what you can build with add-ons. Daniel showed you both a Docs and a Forms add-on, so now you've seen the whole space covered and Sheets. Well, you think you've seen the whole space covered. Can we, oh yeah, we are back on slides, awesome. So I'm gonna tell you about some of the new exciting features that we've got in the works. So first off, mobile add-ons have been out for a while. These aren't really new anymore, but we have the support for Docs and Sheets. And the cool thing about mobile add-ons is that they're native Android apps, which means if you already have an Android app, you can make it into a mobile add-on. And you can also invoke server-side functions in AppScript by using the execution API. This code is an example of how you would do that, but it's relatively simple. You just create a request and build this operation type, and then you can send it to AppScript using this API, and it'll execute asynchronously, and you can get the result when you're ready. So a good example of a mobile add-on is EasyBib built a mobile add-on. They already had a mobile app, and what their add-on does is it integrates with Docs. So you can go into the add-ons menu in Docs. You can select the EasyBib app, and that will take you into their app where you can search for the citation that you're looking for your paper, and you can add it. You can add it to your bibliography and say to cite it in the doc. That'll cause that entry to get inserted into your doc, and you'll be back in the doc like you never left. And so This creates a much tighter integration where you don't have to jump between mobile apps. It's all handled by the add-on developer. So, new features. You might have heard an announcement this morning from Prabhakar. Gmail add-ons are on the way. We're really excited about this launch. We think that people are going to be able to do really cool things with Gmail. And if you want to find out more, if you want to be one of those people that's doing really cool things with Gmail, we have a session at Next that I encourage you to attend. It's right here in the Marriott in Salon 6 at 5:20 today. The title of the talk is A New Way to Integrate Your App into Gmail. Another launch that we've got coming up, Slides add-ons, is also going to be a really cool new feature. And you have the opportunity to sign up for the early access program now. You can go to this link to sign up for the early access program. I'll give you a second to copy it down, or you can ask me after a talk and I'll give it to you. And then for more information, also feel free to visit developers.google.com/slides, where I have been promised there will be more info on Slides add-ons. Cool. Everybody who wanted to get an opportunity to copy this down? Okay. Cool. All right, awesome. So what next? Where do we go from here? Well, first of all, I invite you to go to developers.google.com/apps-script. This is a great resource. Our developer relations team, some of whom are actually in the audience, have done a really awesome job of putting together quick start guides, tutorials, reference documents, and information about our early access program. The quick start guides in particular are of interest if you're interested in add-ons, because we have a quick start guide for docs add-ons and for forms add-ons. They only take about 5 minutes to go through. They're incredibly informative. I've done them myself. They're very useful, and you'll learn a lot. Also, I'd encourage you to watch more YouTube, just in general. But if you want to learn about AppScript, we've got some really great tutorials we have online on the AppScript platform. Unfortunately, we don't have a talk yet on add-ons, although Wesley, I hope you'll add one. But these are a really great resource. If you're just getting started with AppScript, you can learn a lot from these videos. And then since you're at Next, I encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to attend more Next sessions on this topic. In particular, we're going to have a talk on how to use Stackdriver logging and BigQuery to do monitoring and analytics. This is going to be really interesting, and it's a rare opportunity to get insight into how to leverage these technologies. And I think it could be very useful to add-on developers, because a successful add-on can easily have tens of thousands of users. That's going to take place in Moscone West in room 2010 at 4 o'clock, which is the next breakout session. But you're going to have to choose, because there is also a talk on Docs APIs and AppScript taking place here in the Marriott in Salon 7, also at 4 p.m. And it's also incredibly useful for people interested in add-ons, because this talk is going to help you learn how to integrate with the Docs editors. And finally, as I mentioned, there's going to be a session on Gmail add-ons here in the Marriott at 5:20 in Salon 6. So, with that, I'd like to invite you all to publish your own add-on. Think about what you need, build it, decide who you want to share it with. You can publish it to the world, or you can publish it to your business. But build something cool, and when you've published it, know that it'll be easy for users to install, whether they want to install it one user at a time, or whether businesses want to install it to their domain. And remember that we have this tight launch and iterate cycle that's made possible by being a cloud platform. And take advantage of that so that you can publish early and often. And remember that because you're building on AppScript, it's going to be easy to integrate with Google services like Gmail and Calendar and Drive. You can do lots of cool things this way, and we'll take care of a lot of the details, like the OAuth2 security model, and make it easy for you to make a rich experience in the Google ecosystem.